Hey guys, just letting you know that this is a comedy podcast, but even though this is a comedy podcast, for some reason, we talked about a lot of deep things.
We did.
So next week will probably be haha moments, Tiggly Elmo, all of those great things.
Right.
By the way, this might be triggering for some because, it deals with abuse and domestic and all of these different things. Anyway, with that said, here is the episode. Don't forget, you want this right here. See where the chin is?
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect.
I'm getting a lot closer.
Oh, see how sexy your voice is? That's where you want the mic. It's perfect.
All right.
Hey. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Whenever I talk to just women or if I want to be more persuasive, like if I'm directing someone,
Right.
I always tell them to down talk. Because down talk makes the person who's listening to you more interested in you because of your voice.
Down talk. Does that mean you're talking in a lower
Register.
A lower register?
So here's an example.
Okay.
What happens if I go, hey, can I have your number? Versus, can I have your number? See the difference?
Right.
Right? It's like, oh, you look good. Wow, you look good. It's just that down talk.
The down talk.
Could you please open the door versus, hey, could you open the door? One sounds weak, the other.
So you want to sound strong.
You want to sound strong, and then this slow equals sexy, right?
Slow equals sexy.
I learned that from a class that I was in, and we actually studied Johnny Depp because Johnny Depp is slow, and therefore he's sexy. Slow in the aspect of it's true. No, being serious, dude. He was introduced by Oprah Winfrey. I will never forget this. I think for his 2004 Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Right.
Everybody get ready for Johnny Depp. And then when he walks in, he looks around slowly. He walks slowly. He smiles, and then he sits down, and you're like, ooh. Smooth.
So you're trying to be slow, trying to be smooth.
Right.
Trying to have down talk.
Not lethargic, right? You could still be hyperactive, like la, 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 but it's the force of the down talk that they're more likely to be interested in your voice. Right. Then from there it's what comes out of it, and hopefully it's engaging and enthralling and intelligent and intellectual enough and articulate in a way where they want to continue. You have a very smooth voice. Do you get that a lot?
Not really. I think what I get is just oh my gosh, you're such a stoner. That's what I get. Yeah. It's pretty common.
You really? Is that what they say to you?
That's what they say. I remember I was in SAT class in the summer.
Yeah.
And this kid was walking past me, and we had this brief interaction, and he was like, hey, do you smoke weed? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, you sound like you do.
That's great. I love that.
So I mean, that's just, it's never really hey, you have such a sultry, smooth, sexy voice. It's mostly hey, do you want to smoke weed after class? That's the type of vibe that I usually get. Right. It's weird that people associate, your moods with drugs.
Yeah, because
right?
I think that's what society relates things to, right? Everyone, I don't know about you. By the way, what up? How's it going, everybody? Am I even recording? I don't even know. Let's take a little check for a second. Oh, yes, I am. Hello, and hi. What's up, you guys? I'm Jonathan Garano.
And I'm Jared Garano.
And welcome to the Bottle Club. And we're about to talk about some things. Obviously, my co-host isn't here, so my brother is filling in the space today. This is the beautiful and wonderful Jared Garano.
Bench warming for quite some time.
Yes,
I was hoping to be in the starting position.
Yes.
There had to be an injury to the co-host.
Yes.
I did not do that.
Yeah.
I did not plan to injure the co-host, but it just so happened that co-host couldn't show up, and my butt was getting too warm, the bench was getting too hot.
Yeah.
And Jonathan looked at me and he was like,
It's time.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time. Hey, coach, take out the whiteboard, bring him in.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, who knows? So if you're listening to this right now, because we just recently got back on Apple Podcasts after 4
Oh my gosh.
weeks, you guys. After 4 weeks, we lost a third or about a fourth of our audience.
What?
I know. It sucks.
Oh, that's a whole family right there.
Yeah,
You lost a family.
I lost a family.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
help the podcast out. Now that Apple Podcast is back, please, please, please like, subscribe on the YouTube, obviously. Go to Apple Podcast, leave a 5-star review. And if you leave a written comment and you add your little Instagram handle, guess what happens, Jared?
What happens?
I DM you, and I'm like, yo, with a video message that you can use to exploit me later.
I need to pretend to be a viewer, and I want that video message when I write my review.
Dude, I could just give you a video message right now. Want me
True.
just go to the other room and leave you a video message?
But it's not gonna be the same
because it's not
right.
Instagram. Okay. So wait, before we get into like a couple of things, the whole idea. Do you think society in general has a way of what they think normal is?
So normal, what does that look like?
Yeah, what does normal look like to you?
I'm not really sure. I think it just kind of depends on the person.
See, that's something that I've been thinking about when it comes to what normal is, right?
Mm.
And what do I mean by that? Well,
right.
You could say that someone that is normal, quote unquote, is someone that is able to function well with others in society, especially in public, right? And so you take these medications like lamotrigine, which I do, or Zoloft, or all these different SSRIs, right?
Right.
And you're going along and you take them so therefore you can easily converse with others and either A, don't do anything violent, or B, just have the ability to communicate to others, right? But when does it go? When is it at a point where when someone is taking the medication, let's say, and they're acting in a way that's a little abnormal, what does abnormality look like?
Same thing with what does normal look like.
Yeah, what the fuck? So is it just like is it just like the lack of communication that people can have with each other, or
I think so. Maybe are you saying like it's a lack of understanding, like it's a misunderstanding of, let's say for example, I lived my life where the sun never goes down.
Okay.
So it's always sunny where I'm at.
Okay.
Then I travel to a different place, and in that area the sun never rises, so it's always dark. And so my normal is where I grew up. The sun is always up. Their normal is sun is always down. So very subjective, and like what you said, it's what you know. It's what you know.
It's what you know. Oh, and if someone's coming in your little bubble of what you know and does something that you're like shocked about or surprised about, then you think that's not normal.
That's what I think.
I think so too, because I mean, here's the thing that's been difficult though for me. As you know, I'm eccentric. I'm all over the place. I talk to strangers wherever I go. I talk a mile all the time, right? Depending on people's energy, I make people laugh. Cashiers, whoever. Because I just need that. I'm an extrovert, right?
Definitely.
And when I do that, sometimes I have friends that go, Jonathan, that's enough, or whoa, Jonathan, calm down, or Jonathan, that's not normal. And so many times, though, in our society, when we see, let's say, a celebrity or a person of influence do something that is not normal, right? They're often praised for it.
What's an example?
An example
I'm curious
is
about that.
Here's an example. Let's say Jim Carrey, right?
Okay.
Who I love Jim Carrey. I love Robin Williams. He's a comedian, and he'll talk to, random people on the street.
Right.
And because he's so gregarious and out there, but hyperbolic in his movements, kind of like Will Ferrell or Billy on the Street.
Right.
People look at that and they're like, you know what? I like him for that. right? And then they preach to the world, hey, stop, go against the grain, be different, be unique, don't be like anyone else.
I'm thinking about those motivational videos on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But yet it's so weird because then what I realize is that society goes, be different, be all of these things, be like those Jim Carreys or Billy on the Street, be like those people that go against the grain. And then when you start doing that, they're like, whoa, not like that. Does that make sense? It's like, be different, but don't be like that different.
So like you could be different, you could be unique, but there's an extent to that. When do you reach that extent, or how do you know that there is an extent? And when you say, like, let's say, for example, that Jim Carrey example where, you know, he's talking to the audience and he's like, you can be different, you can be unique, but you can't be that different, you can't be that unique. Is it him saying that, or is it we as a society, we as an audience setting the limits of what we can do, what we can be? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think what you're saying is, when do we allow the audience to draw the line of how far we can go being different?
Okay, yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
I think so.
I don't know. I could say maybe that's a good question. Maybe it's going forward and not caring what society wants you to do or not. And then from there, hopefully they just adapt to that kind of your new normal. Oh my God, I figured it out. Okay. Maybe this.
All right.
Maybe I could be wrong. Okay. So be different. Go with the beat of your own drum, as they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what you do is you have to reflect and analyze and think to yourself, what am I doing? If what I'm doing hurts other people, if what I'm doing hurts me, if what I'm doing doesn't bring any benefit to the community that I want to inspire or move or motivate or make laugh, then I go, okay, what I'm doing, this thing that goes against the grain, is actually something that's not good.
I see. So you're coming from a position of not doing the most good, but doing the least harm. That's your position, it sounds like. As long as you do the least harm, you're okay.
How about this more positive spin? Doing more good. Let's just doing.
But it says as long as you're not hurting anybody. So you can do the most good, but what if you're hurting somebody?
Is it somebody in your community?
Anybody.
It depends the type of hurt, right? Like hurt and how so? Like if it's violence and it's murder and there's blood, yeah, that's wrong. Or or the actions that you're doing discriminates, or your actions that you're doing somehow makes people feel lesser.
I got something.
All right, go.
And this is something that maybe you could talk about or maybe debate or explore more, because I love your opinion on this. Disclosure. How about that? Ooh. Private information. So let's say, for example, there's something that has happened, let's say in class, where you know that someone is cheating, and you have the choice to disclose that information to the teacher, to oust that kid, or you can stay silent and everyone benefits because everyone has the answers to the test.
Wait, so the whole disclosure situation, how does that go with our discussion about how society feels as normal? So you're saying me disclosing that this kid is cheating is not normal to do. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the reason why I asked this question is because we were talking about the position that you're taking with you can be different as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Okay, deal.
And I said, that's coming from a position of doing the least amount of harm rather than doing the most good.
Right.
And so the whole disclosure of the information question is just about doing the most good or doing the least harm. The least harm is, staying quiet, for example, right? But everybody benefits. No one gets hurt. Or you can do the most good. You can be just and tell the teacher, hey, we're cheating, and so
We're cheating? I thought there's just only one person
or
cheating.
one person's cheating,
Yeah.
and so one kid gets hurt, right?
Well, that's the less harm than if I don't want to say the word tattling, but if I know that someone is cheating, therefore he's actually hurting the entire class because then he's raising his own score and his own bar, and the reason why he's hurting the other classes is because everyone around him, they studied.
Oh, so okay, I see.
So in retrospect, I think he's hurting other people because he is being intentionally aggressively harmful towards people who took the time to actually study for the test.
Oh,
And
I
he's doing
see,
a shortcut
okay.
and saying, "Ha ha," and he's breaking the rules, again in a negative way. There's a big difference between like finding a shortcut or breaking the rules that isn't negative, because cheating equals negative. Cheating is wrong. Does that make sense?
Cheating is
Cheating is
wrong.
basically like a sin. Well, it is a
So
sin.
doing the least harm would be telling the teacher.
I think.
Or doing the least harm would be staying quiet.
Can I just say doing good, doing less harm, doing less harm? No, you're doing a lot of harm for yourself and others if you don't say anything about
Alright.
that cheater.
So then going back to
Only because it affects you as well. Does that make sense?
affects me because I'm not saying anything, and
It affects me
so
because I studied for the test
studied.
and he didn't. It's kind of, but it's a tricky situation because then you can go, Jonathan. What about the? Let's say you have a friend, right, that you are loyal to and you're just, and you realize that he's cheating on his girlfriend. Do you tell the girlfriend? And for some reason, I believe no, you don't tell the girlfriend. You don't tell the wife or the girlfriend that he is cheating. Because that's their issue.
That's their issue.
But you got to tell the dude and the friend, like, yo, what you're doing is not good.
Right.
I'm not going to get in your business. I'm not going to go to your
Right.
girlfriend and say that you're cheating. But I
Right.
will say, you got to stop. You can't do this.
And that's still taking a position of doing the least harm.
The least harm. So
Right.
now we go back to the test situation. I think you're absolutely right in the fact that now that it's not doing just, it's like I'm doing less harm by going to the teacher and saying, hey, this person's cheating. And the reason why that's important is because everyone else in the class, including myself, have studied, and it affects everybody in the class almost equally.
Well, then isn't that bringing the issue to the teacher, kind of like bringing the issue to the girlfriend?
So it's different,
So
right?
then
That's
you
a
should-
false equivalency because... Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay, but I'm just saying that it would be the same thing if you were to go up to the boyfriend and be like, hey, I don't think cheating's good, as the cheater itself, instead of going to the teacher.
But see, the big difference is the cheater who's cheating, I don't know that dude. Whereas the friend, we have history, we have a background,
so
we have there's loyalty there.
what if you don't know the teacher too?
I do know the teacher because the teacher is taking care of the entire class.
Okay.
The teacher's the authority figure.
Right.
See, that's one situation. The situation with your friend cheating on his girlfriend, I got to stay loyal. However, that doesn't mean that but if my friend did something that is related to sexual assault, oh my God, I'm telling everybody, right? I'm going to the authorities. I'm doing...
Right. So it
Right.
depends on the intensity of the harm.
Right.
Is really the bigger
issue. The intensity of the harm. And I think cheating is wrong. And if I ever get into a new relationship, no way. No, can't. But if, like, I have really good friends in my life,
Right.
and some of them have cheated. Like I'm friends with one of this guy,
no.
and he's cheated a lot, but I would completely stay loyal, and I just tell him, like, yo, you can't do this. Remember, the only time that I think I would say something is if the intensity of the cheating or the thing that he's doing becomes harmful in an intense way, which maybe we have to break down what is intensity, I guess, to then I would say something maybe to the girlfriend.
I've had a very similar situation too.
What happened? Tell me.
Well, I mean, it's again disclosure of information, but in my last relationship, not the one that I had
Yeah.
recently, but the one before that, I did cheat.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was going through relationship issues, and I decided to do something that was very stupid of me, and I kissed another girl,
Hmm.
and I had a heart to heart with my really good friend Mason,
Right.
and he was up in San Francisco at the time, and I wasn't really sure what to do, and he was like, "I think you should just tell her that you did."
Mm.
So I did. I ended up doing that, and of course, like there was a lot of trust issues after that, but I don't know if it's doing the least harm or doing the most good, but I think having that heart to heart with my friend and him telling me to go and tell her the source, right, the girlfriend, then I don't know what to say about that. Is that doing the least harm? Is that doing the most good?
I think what your friend told you to do was, the fact is this: Mason didn't get involved, and that's what matters. Like, he didn't tell your
Right.
ex-girlfriend, "Hey, Jared cheated." That's good. He told you what he thought you should do.
Hmm.
And so I think what you did was, to me, the right thing to do.
Mhm.
Be-
Right.
though, and yes, I do remember the story. I don't know what advice I gave you then, but if I heard that you cheated on your ex-girlfriend at the time, I would be like, okay, it's okay. And then I would just like, listen, like, what do you think you should do about it?
Hmm.
And then we would start the
Right.
conversation from there. With my friend that cheated consistently, I never told him that he should tell his girlfriend.
Right.
I just said, like, you just gotta stop. That's basically what I said. I'm like, dude, you live this really good life. Your girlfriend is awesome. She treats you well.
Mhm.
Either break it off with her, or just stop.
Right.
I think the only time that I would say that he should tell his girlfriend that he was cheating is if, like, let's say the girl that he was cheating with, like, got pregnant or something. Remember, it's all about the intensity. But you telling your ex-girlfriend, that's on you. And if you think that was the right thing to do, that's good. And I'm really glad that your friend whatsoever, he did not, like, get involved by telling
Yeah, it was
her.
definitely a big moment for me.
Well, I'm proud
Because
of you.
well, yeah, and I had to take a lot of responsibility for that. And it's not saying that because I'm saying this on a podcast doesn't vindicate what I did. That harm that I did can never be, healed or, vindicated, or dissolved just because I'm talking about it. I never really had an opportunity, and that's okay, to kind of see the damage that I've caused because,
How did
you
she feel
know,
about it?
devastated, very devastated. And so that's something that, I have to accept. And, this is just her, I don't know how she's doing now, but all I know is that that's something that I got to learn from. And there's no asking for any reprieve. I think, if it's there, I have to learn a lesson for myself and grow from it, and hopefully,
Well,
I'm a better man because of it.
thanks for sharing that. I mean, when do you ask for forgiveness? That's something that I've been also thinking about a lot, though.
It's like you can almost.
Like,
It's like you can't ask for forgiveness. You
like,
just have to forgive yourself and probably give them the space
it's really hard,
to
Jared.
yeah.
Like, even with
Tell
you,
me.
or with my ex-girlfriends, or with anybody, I often think, like, I was about to, like, write a tweet, and the tweet for me in my head was,
Right.
you know, I often think about how much therapy I probably have
Mm.
gotten someone because of the actions that I've done in the past.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
not a sociopath. I'm just saying that we all
Right.
make mistakes. Like, I could have been, for example, with my ex-girlfriend, I could have been, like, a better boyfriend. I mean, I didn't call her. I thank God I didn't hit her. I didn't assault her.
Right.
But I think, wow, we got into a lot of fights, a lot of arguments. Um, I could have been a lot nicer. I could have been, like,
Mm.
less lazy.
Hmm.
Um, things like that. I took her for granted, right? And because of that, I think, holy crap, I wonder if she's in therapy and it's my fault because of it. You know that saying where a lot of the times you have to go to therapy is because the people that treated you had to go to therapy, you know? Right?
Yeah, that is somewhat true.
And so I think about that.
Right. You do.
I mean, the reason why I don't think I would ever cheat again on somebody is because when I cheated, I think I've told you before.
I don't think so.
I asked, the person that I was with, like, how did you feel? And she just said that she was sitting there just thinking, and I'll always remember this. She says, I was on top of my bed, and I just sat there thinking, am I not good enough? And those words still sting, because here's someone that I love, here's someone that I cherish, and I made her feel as if she wasn't good enough.
You did, or
no, I did, because of the fact that I cheated.
Oh, your girlfriend said, "Am I not good enough?"
She just thought to herself, like, am I not good enough?
Oh, because you told her.
I told her. Well, she kissed me, and then she took a step back, and she's like, "Whoa, what did you do?" And it made sense, like she could tell, like.
Oh, not your girlfriend, the girl that you cheated on.
So my girlfriend,
Yeah.
my girlfriend at the time, I cheated on her, and then I came back and I kissed her, and then my girlfriend at the time says, "Oh, what did you do?"
Like, yeah. She knew.
Like she knew, and it's so haunting, because I will always think about it when she closes her. When I just always remember her, like, look on her face. And what's funny is I can't believe. It sucks because it's not her fault, right? For her to say I am not good enough just showcases how basically selfless she is, because in reality, I'm the jerk. Blame me. Put me down. Squash me. I am the jerk. Like, fuck Jonathan, right? But instead she starts blaming herself, and that is something, that is what broke me.
That's so tough.
Right, and that's something that that's one of the massive regrets in my life that I have. It's that moment of her just looking at me and saying, I just thought to myself, am I not good enough? I mean, there's a lot of different scenes. I remember her coming back from work one day, and I didn't do the dishes, and basically I was just so depressed that day that I just, like, watched Netflix all day.
Yeah.
And then she arrived, and I just saw her face in frustration and anger, rightly so, as she looked at the messy kitchen. And it wasn't the fact that it's not because I just didn't do dishes, it's because I wasn't just taking the initiative. I promised to do something and I didn't do it. Wow, those are just like some memories. Wow, this is a comedy podcast, and look where we are. Therapy session of ex-girlfriends. I mean, I guess so it goes back to the question, when do we forgive ourselves? And I don't think it's really hard. Like, I have this one dude, he's like, oh, it's easy to forgive yourself after you do all of these things. And maybe I need therapy, but how the fuck do you forgive yourself for things?
It takes time.
I mean, remember one of the biggest things that I will always regret with you is, this.
Yeah.
I had a major gambling problem. I still do. And we drove to a casino.
Right.
And I said, I'll be right back. And I left you in the car, in the parking lot.
For a long time.
And I was gone for 2 hours.
It was 3 hours.
3 hours. And then I remember arriving and you just crying and, like, hitting the window. Like, where were you the entire time?
I was devastated. I was terrified.
Okay.
I was super scared.
Explain the situation and what happened.
Well, I think I was, like, turning. And I got, like, $50 for my birthday.
Yeah.
And you went up to me and you're like, hey, could I use that money, and I can double it for you? And I was like, okay, sure. I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I think as a kid, when someone tells you that they can double your money, it sounds really enticing. Right. So I was like, sure, why not? And so I got in the car with you, and we drove off somewhere far, and it was like this Indian casino in the middle of nowhere.
It was Ocean's 11, San Diego. It wasn't Indian Casino, but yes, I told you it's on the side of the freeway.
Yeah, okay.
Ocean's
side
11.
of the freeway.
But I get it. I
think this was my young mind though.
Yeah, I
just
get it.
blurring time. And so we got there, and I just remember you saying that you'll be right back, but there was no like timetable. It was just I'll be right back, and you left, and I was just alone, and I wasn't really sure what the heck was going on. I didn't have the keys with me. I had my cell phone with me though, and I think I tried contacting you, and I think you answered once or twice, and you're saying like, "Oh, I'm at a game, I'm at a table," and I was just scared because I wasn't sure where I was at. I didn't know when you were coming back, and I was just in a car. Yeah. And then you came back, and you handed me $100 bill, and I think that probably, kind of healed the wound for a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, right? I left you in that car for 3 hours. The idea is like
definitely
looking at your face in agony, looking at your face as I basically ruined not just your day, but I can't believe I did that, because as I reflected, like I've been reflecting so many years, I lost respect of myself as a brother towards you, and I don't know if I could ever repay that day. Like, just because I give you $100, just because I doubled your money, doesn't mean a goddamn thing. I left you there.
Right.
See, my gambling problem is just so bad.
And
so I'm sorry. And I will always continue saying sorry for that.
That's okay. I think
It's not okay, but
I mean, it's okay that, you feel what you're feeling. It sounds like, you feel terrible.
I understand, but here's the thing. Just because I feel terrible does not mean that you have to forgive me. Does that make sense?
I just said it's okay to feel the way that you feel.
Okay,
and
good.
I feel like we had a breakthrough. I feel like we've already talked about it. I think it's maybe your turn to forgive yourself. Because what if I forgive you, but you still feel terrible? You still feel, regret and all that. Maybe it's your turn to allow yourself to forgive you.
That's hard, man, right?
It's incredibly hard. Super difficult. It's like, I'm not saying that what you did is similar to what I'm about to say or compares to, but it's like killing somebody and then you have to forgive yourself for doing that. It's incredibly difficult.
Jesus Christ.
That is super. That's just extreme.
Right, no, I get that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we had a breakthrough of, I think, like a good brother relationship a little bit.
Right.
And, that will always still be in my mind, that day. There's a lot of things in my life that I think about, of all the wrong things that I've done, and I have no idea if I'll ever repair it, but I'll try, at least with myself,
Yeah, self-compassion, self-kindness.
This is what a lot of people, though, I don't know if people are listening or not about this, but this is what I also think too, right? Here's an example: our father or your dad.
Yeah.
My dad, whatever.
Our dad.
Horrible guy. Physically, mentally abusive, verbal. This is a comedy podcast. How's it going? Hey. But basically, like, he brought us all this like trauma in his life, and
yeah.
I mean, I want to tell you the story about like how I tried to find him, but basically, I don't really want to. It depends how I feel.
That's okay.
But the last email, he divorced. After he divorced, he like left off to the Philippines, started a new family, ran away, no alimony, nothing. He left, you guys basically in welfare and food stamps. And it took a long time, I guess, inside my head to just forgive the dude. And so every time he like wrote an email or whatever saying like, hey, I would love to be part of your life again, it's like, ugh, get away from me, bro. Like, you absolutely left, and you want me, now that I am over the age of 18, to suddenly say, yeah, I guess you're my dad, so I guess I got to hang out with you. And what I'm learning right now, or what I've learned through the process, is you can forgive someone, but even though that they change, right, quote unquote, they're working on themselves, they go to therapy, I have no obligation whatsoever to come in and say, congratulations, you changed. Let's be father and son again. No, bro.
Definitely.
Right? Like, congratulations, you're changing. Congratulations, you're going therapy. But you did what you did. And these are the consequences. And this is how I want to treat you based on how you treated me. And so live with it, period. I do not care. You do not have control over how.
Right.
And a lot of people will go, wait, when something bad happens to me, right, this is how I deal with it. Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations when something happens to you, you do it this way. But guess what? I don't. So live with it.
You and your own time.
You in your own time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. And, forgiveness and grief, there's no right way to do any of those. You have your own way of doing those, and no one else can tell you different. And so I'm guessing that the messages that our Father has said to us about, hey, just because, I've been able to forgive those that have harmed me, I expect you to do the same. That doesn't allow us to be in our own time. It doesn't. So I'm guessing that what I wish for, what I hope for, is our Father giving us that time, giving us that space to do our own grieving and to do our own forgiveness. So that way, when we're ready, or maybe we may never be ready to form a relationship with
Well, I don't
him.
have time to form a relationship
Right.
with. I have so many other things to do. I mean, I emailed him and I said, yo, I forgive you, but you're totally irrelevant in my head. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about you because I have things to do. And I would rather spend my quality time with our mother, with you,
Right.
with all my other siblings, because we've been together through all of that together.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Like, why
And
go to the enemy and try to have a relationship with him when I can
Right.
just...
And he should respect that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did or if he has, but that should be something that he should respect, because it's not your job to take away his moods or to alleviate whatever he's going through.
How's your relationship with... Have you talked to him or anything like
Just
that?
here and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like super intimate, but the last time that we checked in was, I don't know, earlier this year probably. Just like a quiet check-in.
Like
Telling him about what I'm doing.
Oh,
what my life
like
is.
a little phony collie?
Like a phony collie. Yeah. So, that's just the extent of where my relationship is. With him. And, it's not like I care for him, but I think it's just me just checking in once in a while and him doing the same. But in no way is it like I have totally, given him 100%, forgiveness. It's just he did what he did. That's all he knew. But also, I just want him to respect me and also my siblings in their own space, in their own time. And, sometimes he brings it up and I have to remind him about, hey, everyone has their own timetable.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? You're fast, Dad. You're quick in forgiving. But that doesn't mean that everybody else is.
Well, he's fast and forgiving of himself, I guess. But imagine 18 years of like yelling and choking and throwing
Right.
against the wall. Like, I don't know how many times I can get punched in the stomach.
So, of course, that's
Yeah.
not okay, what he did.
Yeah, but I don't want that to be my personality. I do joke around with it a lot. Like, it just teaches me, like, okay, he did this to me. I'd never want this to ever happen to anybody else.
Right.
You know?
And I have to be responsible of that because, in the future, we're going to have our own families. We're going to be, married. And so I think those things from the past will definitely creep up. And it's important just to kind of, assess yourself, know who you are so you can navigate those things a lot better.
I mean, that's key, right?
Well, yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, we cannot... So, you know me, I suffer through manic depression and PTSD, and anytime I see someone that has sort of a mental health issue and does something violent and then blame their mental health issue for that, that's devastating. Because you cannot make, I mean, this may be like a very like stupid hot take. I don't know what it is, but I do not think that there is any excuse whatsoever to hurt someone else and blame your mental health issue because of it, or your past because of it, because that's essentially just a crutch. You're not taking responsibility over anything, because my mental health issue, my mania, that's me all around everything. So I can't blame hurting someone because of what I internally have. Does that make sense?
Right. And so this is kind of like another personal question.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about your gambling addiction, how do you present that? Do you say like, yeah, it's because of my gambling addiction, or it's because what? Like
No.
I am addicted to gambling?
Well, well, first off, I take a look at it, right? My sponsor, thank God, this is why you have the 12-step program and everything, right? You kind of look at it and you go, okay, I have this gambling problem. Why is it wrong? Well, it's destructive towards my life, where I don't become productive, where I don't have any finances, where I'm borrowing money. And then also, does it hurt people around me? Obviously, look, I left you in the car for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or I was not attentive towards my ex-girlfriend. Or I borrowed money from a friend and didn't pay him back. Or I did not, hold my bargain as my responsibilities for the friends and people around me. That is when you have to take full responsibility of the things that you do. You can't be like, oh, I had a gambling problem and therefore that's why I hurt you, so please forgive me. No, because you have to remember the person that you're hurting is also a person. The person that you're hurting is also a person.
Right.
So even if you have your own internal shit going on, you're hurting them.
Yeah.
And you're giving them pain that they have to internalize.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Is your microphone okay?
It is. I'm just talking quiet.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know why it's like that. Look at this.
Yeah, but look, now it's like that.
Oh, okay. I was scared. I'll raise it up.
No, this is perfect.
I'll raise it in the editing.
They'll hear it. They'll definitely hear it.
But do you get what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And, it's, of course, just going back to the basics of, you have empathy for that person. And when you're self-destructive, you are also harming that other person. And you can chalk it up as say, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, but also acknowledge what you did.
Yeah, man. Jesus. Anyway, guys, this is a comedy podcast. I wanted to kind of move on and tell a story,
Oh, Jonathan, you have hair right here. There we go. Okay.
Is it gone?
It's gone. You look good. You look really good.
No, you look really good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've come from the same parents.
Yeah, we're so lucky. We're so fortunate.
You want to tell a story?
I don't know, because we're in the topic of dad.
Okay.
Kind of. Can I tell you? So, basically, the last time that I actually hung out with him, was when I graduated college. I graduated college, and I haven't seen dad in a very, very long time. Obviously,
Right.
And so I decided to email him and said, "Hey, listen, I kind of want to see you." And the reason being is because, it's like, hey, I know you abused and did all this shit, but hey, at the end of the day, you're still my blood in a weird way, and I'm young, and I want to figure out if I could start a relationship with him. Because I'm curious, he's my dad. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, it's been a long time since you've seen the guy.
Yeah, he ran to the Philippines, right, from California.
Catch me if you can.
Catch me if you can,
Yeah.
And so we make a plan, and I go, okay, I'm headed to the Philippines on this date right after graduation. I think it's like a week after graduation, 2 weeks after graduation, like right away being. So
I remember that graduation too.
Well, thanks for coming to my graduation, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So anyway, so I get on the airplane, and we fly there, and in the email, he basically says that he's going to meet me at the airport. So I get off. I'm in the Philippines. I'm this young 21-year-old kid. I look around, and he's not there. I check my email again. He says,
Mm.
this is where he's going to be exactly at this time. And I wait there, Jared. I wait there, waiting for him. And it goes by 1 hour, 2 hours,
Oh,
3 hours, and he's
no.
not there. And then I think, duh, obviously, he's this dude that just leaves. Have you heard of the four things? The four A's of the type of people that you are. It goes access, people that want access, that means career. People that are or seek attention. People that have avoidance. And the other A, what's the other A?
Access, which is like opportunity.
Opportunity. Like I want, like you're looking for access. Attention is like me, like I'm looking for attention.
And then avoidance.
Avoidance. You run away from your problems. Like let's say someone you break up with somebody and then you just like bounce to Florida from California.
Can I guess the other one? Is it affection?
No.
Okay.
It's automatic.
Automatic.
The automatic things that you do. These are the four main things that humans consistently have in their lives. And one of them at the moment will always be greater than the other. So automatically just eating. But out of those, and I think our dad is a very like avoidance type person. So when I arrive there, Jared, in the Philippines, he's not there. He's not anywhere.
That's terrible.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I thank God I have the email, and one of the emails he has a signature, and in the signature is this internet cafe from where he was writing the email. So I was like, what? Okay, so out of all the emails, like I got really lucky, and so therefore I had about $40 USD in my back pocket. I asked for a taxi, and I give them the address, and we go. Now, I didn't know this. Well, I do know this, but $20 USD is like 5,000 pesos. And so this guy that's, in front of the seat, like we're speaking, and you'll see, like when you get to other countries, especially if you know some of it, like if you know some Spanish and you go to España, suddenly you're kind of like speaking Spanish all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well, I know a little bit of Tagalog, so he's talking to me, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to get you there, but it's going to cost you $20 USD. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. So I arrive, and he just waits there and sits there, and I give him the $20 USD. I fed him basically for 2 months, probably. 5,000 pesos is a lot of money.
Wow, good for him.
Good for him, I guess. And I go to the internet cafe, and I start asking if they know who my dad is. Like, have you seen this man? And our father, our last name is not common. It's very unique. And then in addition to that, I used his Filipino kind of like name and also his nickname that he has. Nowhere to be found. That fucker is nowhere to be found. And so I'm a little exhausted.
Scavenger hunt.
Yeah, it's a scavenger hunt. So I'm a little all over the place, and suddenly, like across the internet cafe is this like apartment building, which is kind of cool, like this massive like tower or whatever.
What?
And so I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, maybe he's in this area. I don't know. So exhausted I am because it's in the Philippines. I've been there since I think I arrived at like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning. The sun's beating against my freaking face, and I'm sitting down. And as I'm sitting down, all of a sudden I hear my name. Like I'm just like chilling there, I think for like 30 minutes or something.
In this apartment?
No, not this apartment. The apartment steps. Like
Apartment steps.
Like I'm just like chilling. I don't know if it's a bench. I don't know. It's just I just remember like being in front of the apartment, and I hear my name, Jonathan.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? I turn around, and there's this teenage girl. There's this teenage girl just looking at me, and I'm like, how do you know my name?
Right.
And she's like, you're Jonathan, right? You are. And then she says our dad's name, son.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, how did you feel?
I was
you look shocked.
I was like shocked. I was like, wait.
I'm like surprised.
I was like, you know my name? This teenage girl like knows my name because, as she says, I am.
I feel bad.
Then guess what she says?
I know what you're going to say.
I'm your dad's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, what the hell? And she's like, come. And I don't know. I mean, for someone to say my name and then say, are you my dad, are you this person's son? And then also saying all of these things makes me automatically trust this person. I'm in shock, but I definitely trust this person. So I go follow this person. We go into the apartment, and sure enough, I look around, and there's literally just pictures of like me and you and like all of these like our families there.
No, for sure.
And it's so weird. And there's like this like lion head, but it's like a fake lion, you know, like this like 50-year-old dude on his midlife crisis with a freaking 19-year-old basically.
That's
younger than me because I graduated college, right?
Yeah, that must be shocking. That must be just terrifying almost.
It's the weirdest thing. And then we're going around walking, and in the corner, I see a baby playpen. And I walk over, and in the baby playpen is a baby. And I already already know the answer.
Right.
But there's like a nanny there, and so I go, "Who is this?" And the nanny goes, "This is our dad's name, daughter." Whoa, that hit me. So I was so like, I didn't know how. I was angry. I was frustrated. It was just a lot to handle.
I bet.
But it was like I wasn't mad at her, the little girl, because at the end of the day, it's not her fault that she exists, right? It's that dude that made it. So then I waited, and later on, the door opens, and he's like, he hugged me, and he was like, "Oh, I was looking for you all this time." I was like, "Yeah, okay, I was there for 3 hours, dude. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
It.
But thank God I left out. I was supposed to stay there for like 8 months, but
what 8 months?
No, we stayed there for a month, and it was just too much. It was just too much for me. But I think, like that moment in that event, yeah, I've forgiven him, but I don't think I could ever forget it, and that's why I don't think that I could ever have a relationship with him, because, you know, he's always gonna be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Like I'm like, you should just forgive me for that." Yeah, I do, man. I got you, but I'm like, come on, you got your own.
Right.
You ran away.
Right.
I know. Is that a lot? I'm so sorry.
No, please put that on me.
Yeah.
Please be vulnerable.
Yeah. So that's. Oh my God. And Jesus Christ.
You look shocked.
I was. It was just a lot. I mean,
I bet. Even just retelling it looks
yeah, because I'm
a lot.
I'm like replaying it in my head. Guys, this is a comedy podcast. Yes. Did not expect to do that. Jared's a therapist, by the way, guys. That's why we're talking.
Well, I'm aspiring to be one.
I mean, you're in grad school right now. You have clients, I guess. Any last words?
I think that's it.
All right. Have a nice night. Be safe, y'all. Peace.